Hello everyone, welcome to this week's Life on the Hulls. A couple of weeks ago I showed you this massive hole I cut in the helm station modification that I'm actually doing. I should call it an improvement because it is going to vastly improve the layout of this custom cockpit that I'm building here. It's actually a pretty drastic change, but I'm going to work on that in this episode. Don't forget to like, don't forget to subscribe. There's plenty more coming up and lots of modifications and improvements to make this boat ours. Let's get into it.
This is taking quite a deal of time to work out. This I've cut the piece that's going to fit in the top. Not sure how that's going to fit, but we'll see. I'll go down and have a look. And this is the part here. I'm trying to reuse the entire shelf component that I had before, but remembering the floor is going to come out here, all the way to here and then up and join back into this. So piecing it together is going to be the problem. But for now, I'm just going to move this spirit level back so that I can actually clamp this piece to it. So I've got, this is the top of the step that I've cut out, and that was here. So it was actually in this position here. What I did is I cut it so that I could move it back into here, and it's pretty much a perfect fit. I've just got to get this angle right, and what I was trying to avoid is fairing. I always like to fair on the edge of a corner or underneath a corner so you can hide it. You know, you don't have to do as good a job if you're not doing it on a flat surface, and obviously it's going to detract your eye. But for now, if I can get this in place, a lot of detailed work with this modification, but it's going to be an incredible fix. Oh yeah, oh yeah. So what we're going to have is a little lip here, and I thought this would be a good area here to maybe put drink holders or whatever within the helm station, and just to give you a little bit of a foot if you need to put your foot down to get up. Alright, what I've done is I'm going to get some composite angle, and what I've done is I've actually cut about 30 millimeters off it because it won't sit up under here, but this is pretty much right. That'll sit there and just hold this thing, just the lip of it in place. That's a little bit of theory coming into this. I've used my digital level to work out this slope to exactly that slope so that I can reuse this part that's going to come down here and meet up with this. I'm going to have to go and trim it, but it's a little bit complicated what's going on here and very hard to explain, but I guess once I've done it you'll get the idea. I'm not actually overly worried about the gel coat on the top. I'm more worried about getting that curve. I can always sand it down and then refair it and maintain that profile that is prevalent all over the back cockpit here. I don't want to go changing and having square profiles and all these other different shapes if I don't need to, but for now I'm just trying to get it to sit. Currently using every piece of offcut that I have to try to maintain these curved profiles that exist on this section of the boat. Now if you look over here, I've got quite a number of curves and complex curves, and you don't have to recreate this stuff if you don't have to, so I'm going to try to use the majority of them in remnants, and what I'll do is basically be able to carve this piece out, add in a curve, and then tab in some of these other sections to complete this whole debacle. I'm hoping I've got enough pieces. The only piece I may have to prefabricate is this piece here, and then it can all be glassed and bogged together. Very important to be able to do this sort of stuff, because this will save me tons of time in the long run, having to fabricate a big section here. I'm going to make a large foam wall along here, and that'll be the only part that has to really have a gel coat surface on it. The rest of it can be done in situ. This is my put together helm position. I'm going to epoxy it all together, and then I've got my rough form. Rather than fabricate and shape foam, I'm trying to reuse, I have been reusing everything that I've got here. Everything's going to have to be fed back anyway, but this will save me a lot of time. But just got to get some epoxy into these gaps to at least hold it together until tomorrow, and I can come in and hopefully do a better job of it, honey. Because it's not pretty.
It's a jigsaw.
Yeah, it's a bits and pieces, but you know, the nice thing about it is once it's all reinforced and glassed from underneath, I'll be able to rebuild it from the outside.
Such a huge platform.
Yeah, it's good, isn't it?
It's going to be a great platform. For me.
Yeah. Certainly isn't pretty, but it's together, and the shape is pretty much exactly how I need it. And what I'm going to do is I've just put some epoxy in it, filled all of the gaps to just get it to the point where I know that I can now start to mold and shape it as I need it. So basically I've got all the rounded shapes with the exception of that corner there, which is going to be too complex to put a rounded one in it. So I'm actually going to sand that up, and I'll fillet that and just tidy that up. But at least it's going to hold together. By tomorrow morning, that's all going to be one consolidated piece. And really nice thing about that is that it's in place, and now I can start to build on the other elements, such as this wall here. And I have a piece of foam that'll pretty much fit that exactly right, and that'll have hatch doors and everything in it. And then over in here, I've got to fill this spot and this spot down in here. So pretty much the helm station has formed itself with a shitload of work. It hasn't formed itself at all. I've formed it, and it was bloody hard work. I've spent all day getting this component together, but what I've now got together is what I believe will look. It actually looks like it belongs, and that's going to fare up and look like it never happened. You know, once I finish that, basically everything's level. It's all tied in, pretty accurate. It's almost dead level. It's actually dead level, so I'm pretty happy with that. Have a look at what we've got down here. I've sort of got it all together and filled in a lot of the spaces, and it's really starting to take shape. So what we've got now is this cavity here, and that will be storage for the outside, or a wet locker. And this wall here in the rear cabin will go all the way to this bulkhead here, and we've gained a little bit of floor space. So basically this is all going to have to be rounded off because we don't want anyone hitting their heads. I've just got some composite angle in holding it all in place. Yeah, you can see underneath here there's a ton of space now, and it's actually come together really well, a lot better than I thought it would. And I've got basically some composite angle here. This is just screwed on. Everything's actually epoxied in place just to hold the form until I can start to get some tabbing. And it's taken quite a bit of thought. It's taken me probably 3 days to put this whole thing together. But yeah, just having composite angle and all this stuff in place makes a massive difference to how I can hold it together to get the elements in one piece. Now what I have to do is this part of the floor here, which is actually the cockpit floor, needs to be cut out all the way around so that I can backfill any gaps and then tab the staircase to the floor. It's going to be a pretty unpleasant job in here, but certainly one that's going to really improve the whole layout of the cockpit, and in fact it'll improve the bedroom as well. Basically, if you look here at the picture, that there, this is now this. So as you can see, it's a little bit narrower in the headroom just here. This was over here, and now I've moved it over to here. So yeah, whatever you do outside affects the internal dimensions, but it's certainly still got a lot of room. It's quite a big cabin. Alright, I've got to cut this line out of this cockpit floor, and the reason why I've got to do that is because then I can tab the whole thing down to the actual cockpit. I'm removing all of this. Now this is actually going to be a wet locker in here, so it'll all be tabbed and curved so that basically any water that may enter into here, and there shouldn't be any because I'm going to put a dam on the door or put a hatch in here that is going to be about this high, so it'll have a lip. But I do not want any water to be able to ingress into there, because if it gets into there, it could easily possibly get down into there, and that's not going to happen. I'm pretty much going to make sure that that's totally watertight in there and all flow coated out. But yeah, I'll get on to grinding this second line, and then I'll be ready to install this wall bulkhead. Oh, honey, look at that. That is sketchy as having that cut out. Right. Okay, so look, it's currently sitting on the rack. Yeah.
Is that a little bit heavier than you thought it would be, Ross?
Possibly. I just don't know how heavy it is. Hang on, Neil.
You told me yesterday it's going to weigh about 300 kilo.
No, it's not that heavy. No, it's actually not. It's about as heavy as a big surfboard.
Yeah. Can't believe you made it.
Just sit there,
Make all that when you cut it along.
How are we going to get over there?
Somebody try it.
Alright.
One end at a time, mate.
Just actually sit on that pedal.
Keep your right, Josh.
Actually, sit it on there and slide it down. Alright, Jake. Just get under it.
Maybe you clean it there.
Ready? Alright. You on, Jake? Yeah. Well, I'll come down. Joel will come down.
Yeah.
Yeah? I've been waiting all weekend. I've been shitting myself in the wind.
You've done enough in the week, now.
Right now? Thanks, guys. Go out, Josh. We've got them 9 feet high. Thank you. Take it up. Thank you.
You missed out, Steve.
I spent all this time making shit and then I cut it out.
You didn't even video it.
We are getting totally smashed. The whole north coast of New South Wales is underwater, and this is just starting to hit us, so there's a good chance we're going to have a lot of flooding around our area as well. So I'm inside because I can't really do any laminating. The humidity's just been horrendous, so I'm doing jobs that I can do without having to worry too much about the chemistry, particularly a job I'm doing right now. I've decided on my hard top that I'm going to put a couple of, or 3 main ribs running down along on top of the conduit, not only for a decoration or for cosmetic effect, but also so I can embed lights into them. But what I'm going to do, I'm going to actually glue 30mm foam along the length of the conduit, overlapping it by about 5 centimeters on either side, and that will give it a lot of inherent strength. And then I'm going to bevel it down to 45 degrees and roll cloth over the top of it and laminate it in. And what that's going to do is give it incredible strength over the top of where that conduit is. I'm a bit concerned it is only down to around about 5mm thick, the foam underneath the conduit, so there could potentially be a weak point in the conduit itself. I'm not overly worried about it now because this 30mm foam plus 2 layers of 600 double bias and then a finishing cloth over the top will substantially improve the strength of this hard top. But what I'm going to do, I'm going to glue that down with epoxy today. It's pitch dark in here. I'm working in the dark. It's horrendous weather. I can't even open my door for a bit of light. It's just putrid out there. So everything. And the other thing I'm going to do is along the edges of the hardtop, I'm actually going to glue 20mm foam, which has been beveled on the inside. So it's actually been beveled along this edge here, which means that I'll be able to laminate up over the top and give myself a really thick edge to the cockpit roof. And that'll be good for handhold, because most of this flange will be cut off, and basically I'm going to end up with about a 1.5 inch thick solid rooftop, which will be less brutal on heads and good things to hold on to. And glue all of these bits of foam into place, and then I'll come back and tidy it up with a sander, and then I can get laminating again, and that'll pretty much see the end of this cockpit roof. For now, I'll be sanding it all very thoroughly prior to installing it on the roof of the boat, because I don't want to be doing too much overhead sanding. This is likely to be either painted or flow coated. The texture underneath, I don't intend to line this separately. I had intentions originally of doing that. I don't think it's going to be great. I think I'm better off doing what I'm doing here and just finishing it once, and it'll take a lot of weight out of the boat, and also it's going to look quite fantastic. So I've got all of the foam ribs and everything installed. It's the next morning. It's still incredibly wet, so I won't be doing any laminating today, but these ribs that run longitudinally from stern to bow, and that's the bow up there. Sorry about the flickering. I cannot stop it unless I hold dead still. But basically these will have to be shaped now. There's been a great deal of hand shaping of this. Now this is going to be glassed over with 2 or 3 layers of thin glass, just to give it a nice solid appearance and feel. But I want to get a rough shape before I glass. If I can get a rough shape, a nice sort of contoured shape, and then I'll backfill this with Q-cells and Cabasil, and then put my glass on, then I can refair. And obviously we're then on to flow coat or paint, depending on which way we go. Probably more likely to be flow coat. So I'll sort of roughly sand all the excess off first. Not too worried about shape at this stage, and then just use a sort of a bit of a modified torture board just to make sure that I'm getting an more even shape. Remembering it's going to be filled with fairing come down again. I'm coming to the end of the foaming of these ribs, underside ribs. I just had a bit of a thought. I've actually put these ribs in to give the thing reinforcement, and they'll be shaped and obviously glassed. And then I thought, might actually put in my light fittings now, and what I've actually done is I've used the template of this sandpaper here to form a disc at each point where I intend to have these lights. So basically this will be glued to here, this will be glued to here, and then it'll be shaped all around, and then we can simply hole saw through to the conduit to run our wiring. Better off to do it now than I was thinking, oh, I'll do it when I get it actually in place above my head, but I think this is a much better solution. I've equally spaced them all. These 3 at the back here are actually following the contour of the rear part of the cockpit roof, and the front 2, which are pretty much over the door and the table area over on the other side there. These are going to be downlights and hopefully dimmable. I don't love the bright halogen lights, that heavy white light that they put on boats. I'll also be secreting COB chip on board LEDs all the way around the outside here that possibly can change colour. I'm not really that worried about that, but hopefully dimmable as well. I'm not really sure whether you can dim them. I haven't done that research, but they will be able to be secreted underneath here, and then we'll be also putting in some clears along this area here on the inside. So there's a lot of detail in this hard top. Difficult corners like this, I'll find if I just bunch a whole heap of foam in there and epoxy together, it's quite easy to shape. Righto, Janet and I are going to get in and laminate this foam edge here with a layer of 600 and a layer of 300 just to finish it off. It's going to be a nice hard edge to form the rim of our hardtop. This has been a lot of detail in this area here. Good to have you back, mate.
Mate.
She's my mate.
Doing a nice job there, Dylan.
Thanks.
It's looking good. So we've now got 2 layers on here, and we'll be peel plying, and that'll give us a really nice big firm edge, nice and solid. Nothing worse than a sharp edge on a yacht. Cool. Very nice.
We've got Jeff down for the day. He's on holidays and it's been peeing down, so he offered to do some work. He was going to do it anyway, weren't you, mate?
I was.
All right, what Jeff's doing, he's doing my braces over the top of our conduits, and we're putting down 2 layers of 265 woven roving. And why I've chosen to do this is because it's a really fine cloth and it will conform really well to the radius and the shape of this particular brace that I've put in here. But yeah, look how nice that's going down, mate. That's amazing, isn't it?
Oh, it's good so far.
Oh, this flicker's just insane. It's funny, if I hold it dead still, it's okay.
See these daggy bits, should I pull those off?
No, just glass them in.
Glass them in?
Yep.
Look at this. Yuck. My God. Wow, it's wild out here. Whole of New South Wales is underwater. Yuck. Unbelievable.
I'm getting towards the end of the underside of this hardtop. I haven't even thought about doing the top yet. I can't really do the top until it's up in place, and there's no point in me flipping it over and trying to do it here in the factory. I need to get this fitted. It's starting to get pretty crucial time-wise. You can see here, after Jeff and I yesterday finished laminating my conduit runs and my bearers or rafters that are forming the underside of the hardtop, and it's looking really beautiful. Very, very nice laminating. Thank you to Jeff. We got a really good run on it yesterday, and in that shocking weather we had, able to get the peel ply down, and it's cured. It's beautiful. Now what I've actually done is I've sat the cutout from the roof in the top of the hardtop just to check first for fit. I have measured it, but sitting it up there has just confirmed to me that it's going to be a perfect fit on the top of the coach house roof. So we're going to zoom in here and just have a look. Now this is actually the cutout from the roof of the Catamaran, and you can see here the sharp edge that runs all the way around. That's actually the center of the small ridge that runs around the top of the boat. Now I had no qualms about whether this was going to fit, but I'm looking at it here and it's actually a perfect fit. How this works is that the other side of this roof actually is shaped like this, so this will be bonded to the boat, and then this area here, the flange, will actually be fed into the roof. So I'm going to have to remove a lot of this flange. I won't do it until I'm up there. I'll just lift it up a couple of centimeters and do it. But yeah, that's looking so good. It's actually a perfect fit. There's not going to be a lot of adjustment required to get this thing to fit. I'm so happy about that. I set it up here just to check it before I started working on how I'm going to get this thing out of the factory and onto the boat.